150 IQ, a brain almost equal to Einstein. Frank Lampard. It was June 20th, 1978. Lampard was born in London. His father was a Chelsea footballer like him. Lampard was a very good student at school. He did very well and was top of his class. His IQ test was 160. More on that later. Lampard's passion for football started at an early age. Here's how he describes his love for soccer. Once at school, they handed out papers and asked us to write down what we wanted to be when we grew up. My teacher said to me, "Football is not a profession, Frank. Only 1 in 300 children can be a soccer player. Will you be one of those 300? I answered yes. I remember all the kids in the class laughing at that. That day was like a turning point in my life. He took his first step into soccer in 1994. He was introduced to soccer at the West Ham United youth team. His father was always his supporter, and his brother-in-law Sam was a football manager. He always had the support of his father and brother-in-law. In 1995, he signed a professional contract with his club. That same season, he was loaned to Swansea City, a lower league team, to gain experience. In 1996, he returned to West Ham and played 5 seasons between 1996-2001. His most important characteristic was that he was a man of duty like a soldier. He never got tired, never got injured, did whatever he was assigned, and always showed up for training. Lampard made a total of 166 appearances in 5 seasons and scored 29 goals. In the summer of 2001, he was transferred to Chelsea for €16 million. He would wear this jersey for 13 years. Lampard was to Chelsea what Gerrard was to Liverpool. They had 2 successful seasons in the Premier League, finishing 6th once and 4th once. However, the turning point for Lampard came when Abramovich arrived. Abramovich was ready to pay big money to sign the best players of that era. Chelsea made a big transfer operation. They strengthened the team with stars like Hernan Crespo and Juan Sebastian Veron. This season they finished the Premier League undefeated and finished in 2nd place behind Arsenal, who finished 1st. However, this did not stop the Russian businessman, and he brought Jose Mourinho in charge of the team. His second transfer operation with Roman Abramovich was to be a much more planned one, albeit not a very healthy one. They brought in the likes of Ricardo Carvalho and Paulo Ferreira from Porto, and brought in young, hungry players like Didier Drogba, Petr Cech, and Arjen Robben. Despite all these transfers, Lampard still continued to play 11, improving his performance every day. Lampard was a steely player. He always stood out as the team's top runner. He started 52 of the 59 official matches of the season, all of them in the starting 11. With 13 goals and 16 assists, he was the leading player in Chelsea's Premier League title, which came after 50 years in Chelsea's history. He also won England's Footballer of the Year award and was one of the 3 finalists for the Ballon d'Or that same year, finishing 2nd behind Ronaldinho. The following year, Chelsea continued their dominance in the Premier League and won their 2nd consecutive title, 8 points ahead of Manchester United. Lampard, who signed a new contract after this season, became the highest-paid footballer of that period. Lampard was a soldier. His consistency was undoubtedly unmatched by most players in the world. He set a record of 164 consecutive appearances without missing a game due to injury or suspension. Jose Mourinho called Lampard the most professional player I have worked with in my entire career. This constant performance also attracted the attention of other clubs. For example, both Barcelona and Mourinho's new team Inter made serious attempts to sign Lampard at different times. But even though Lampard was ahead of his time in terms of his style of play, he was a Chelsea legend in terms of character. He was also a fan of the team he played for. One of the things that made Lampard different and special was his intelligence. His psychiatrist said that in an IQ test administered to all the players of the English team, Lampard scored 150. This result was quite surprising, so they repeated the tests again and again, but the result didn't change. Lampard had a very rare intelligence found in 0.1% of the entire population of the country. Einstein was 160, so there was very little difference between him and Lampard. In terms of long passes, he was undoubtedly competing with Gerrard and Beckham at the time. Even though he wasn't a top individual talent, he always tried to do what was best on the pitch. He won the third and last Premier League title of his career with Ancelotti in the 2009-2010 season. He reached his career peak with 22 goals in the league that season. Now Lampard was 30 years old, but for some, age was just a number. Lampard, one of those some, was tireless, easily playing at least 50 games every season. That season, 1 point ahead of Manchester United, Lampard wanted to be the biggest in Europe. When Roberto Di Matteo took charge of the team, they had only one goal to concentrate on: Champions League. They eliminated Napoli in the last 16 and Benfica in the quarterfinals. Their opponent in the semi-finals was the last Champions League champion Barcelona. Chelsea defended their goal very well in the first match. In the first match in London, late in the first half, he saw Ramirez on the left wing. Ramirez, who was going fast, turned the ball to Drogba for the goal. Ramirez assisted. Drogba scored, but the attack had started thanks to Lampard's beautiful pass, and the first game ended 1-0. Barcelona started the second match with attack after attack. In the 35th minute, Barcelona scored 1-0. Just a minute later, Captain John Terry received a red card, and Chelsea were down to 10 men. In the 42nd minute, Messi assisted Iniesta to make it 2-0. The score was 2-0, and Chelsea were down to 10 men. There was no hope. However, seconds before the end of the first half, Lampard again spotted Ramirez running behind the defense, and with the away goal, they turned the advantage to their side. In the second half, Barcelona were bombarding the Chelsea goal. In the 47th minute, Barcelona won a penalty and were about to destroy all hopes. Messi, who took the ball, hit the crossbar, and they couldn't take advantage of the penalty. It was now 90 minutes. Barcelona took a corner. The bouncing ball ended up in front of Fernando Torres. Torres, who went towards the Barcelona goal, scored past the goalkeeper and won the final ticket for his team. The Champions League final pitted Chelsea and Bayern Munich against each other. Bayern Munich took the lead with Thomas Müller's goal in the 83rd, but Chelsea didn't give up hope and equalized 5 minutes later in the 88th with Drogba, sending the match into extra time. When extra time passed quietly, the match went to penalties. Lampard did not make a mistake in the penalties, and they won the Champions League with the last Drogba's goal, and they became the biggest team in Europe, just like they dreamed of. Lampard lifted his last major trophy for Chelsea in 2013, winning the UEFA Europa League. He was 35 now. His minutes were slowly diminishing. Only in important matches he would come in like a soldier, do his duty, and leave. He wore the Chelsea shirt for the last time in the 2013-2014 season. He had hoped to jubilee at Chelsea, but his negotiations with the management for a contract extension did not go well. He signed a contract with New York City, and then, in a transfer that shocked the whole of England, he was loaned to Manchester City. He had taken this decision in spite of the "you can't play" words of Chelsea managers, and he was going to show that he could play. In the second game of the season against Chelsea, he came on with 13 minutes left. 5 minutes later, he equalized the score. At the end of the match, he walked to the stands and applauded them, and they responded in kind. There were no hard feelings in this story because Lampard was their legend. After 2 more seasons in the MLS, he ended his football career. He became the 3rd player with the most Premier League appearances. Despite playing in the middle for his entire career, he became the top scorer for Chelsea with 147 goals, reaching double-digit goal figures for 10 consecutive seasons. He was named in the English Professional Footballers Association's 11 of the Year 3 times, and once as Player of the Year. He won 3 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, 1 Champions League, and 1 UEFA Europa League. So, that's the end of Lampard's story. If you want to be like Lampard one day, do the best you can with the task you are given and never give in to those who tell you you can't do it. If you liked the video, don't forget to comment and subscribe to the channel. Take care of yourselves.